mean all of it. The people. The cars and buildings. And not just the stuff here on Earth, but the Earth itself. What if you took away all the planets, stars, and galaxies, and not just the big stuff, but tiny things down to the very last atoms of gas and dust? What if you took it all away? What would be left? Most of us would say nothing, and we'd be right. Strangely, we'd also be wrong. What's left is empty space, and as it turns out, empty space is not nothing. It's something. Something with hidden characteristics as real as all the stuff in our everyday lives. In fact, space is so real, it can bend. Space can twist. And it can ripple. So real that empty space itself helps shape everything in the world around us and forms the very fabric of the cosmos.
You can't understand anything about the world unless you understand space, because that's the world. The world's space with stuff in it.
We're not usually very conscious of space. But then again, I tell people, fish are probably not conscious of water either. They're in it all the time.
Space is not really nothing. It actually has a lot going on inside.
When most of us picture space, we think of outer space, a place that's far, far away. But space is actually everywhere. You could say it's the most abundant thing in the universe. Even the tiniest of things, like atoms, the basic ingredient in you and me and everything else we see in the world around us, even they are almost entirely empty space. In fact, if you removed all the space inside all the atoms making up the stone, glass, and steel of the Empire State Building, you'd be left with a little lump about the size of a grain of rice, but weighing hundreds of millions of pounds. The rest is only empty space. But what exactly is space? I can show you a picture of Spain, of Napoleon, of my Uncle Harold. But space, it looks like this. Nothing. So how do you make sense of something that looks like nothing?
Why is there space rather than no space? Why is space three-dimensional? Why is space big? We have a lot of room to move around in. How come it's not tiny? We have no consensus about these things.
What is space? We actually still don't really know.
It is one of the deepest mysteries in physics.
Fortunately, we're not completely in the dark. We've been gathering clues about space for centuries. Some of the earliest came from thinking about how objects move through space. To get a feel for this, take a look at that skater. As she glides across the rink, she's moving in relation to everything around her, like the ice. And when she goes into a spin, not only can she see that she's spinning, she can also feel it. Because as she spins, she feels her arms pulled outward. But now let's imagine that you could take away all the stuff around her, from the rink to the most distant galaxies. So the only thing left is the skater spinning in completely empty space. If the skater still feels her arms pulled outward, she'll know she's spinning. But if empty space is nothing, what is she spinning in relation to? Imagine you're that skater. When you look out, you don't see anything. It's just uniform, still blackness all around you. And yet, your arms are being pulled outwards. So you say to yourself, what could I be spinning with respect to? Is there something out there that I'm not seeing? Trying to answer questions like these, scientists came up with a bold new picture of space. And the key was to make something out of nothing. When you go to the theater, you watch the actors,
I do confess that I love nothing in the world so well as thee.
the scenery, the story.
I protest I love thee.
Then, God forgive me.
What offense, sweet beat?
But there's something important here that you won't find mentioned in the playbill. Something we hardly ever notice. The stage. It's an absolutely vital part of the show, and yet, most of us, we don't even give it a second thought. But Isaac Newton? He did. This is how the father of modern science pictured space, as an empty stage. To Newton, space was the framework for everything that happens in the cosmos, the arena within which the drama of the universe plays out. And Newton's stage was passive, absolute, eternal, and unchanging. The action couldn't affect the stage, and the stage couldn't affect the action.